Within 1 year, Julius Caesar successfully dealt with two major Roman threats, the Helvetians and the Suebi, consolidating Roman control over Gaul. In 57 BC, the Belgae, an alliance of tribes from northern Gaul, started to assemble a coalition to oppose the Romans, concerned about their seeming takeover of the territory. Led by King Galba of the Suessians, the Belgae got ready to confront Caesar. Labienus reported the forming of this group to Caesar. When the general learned of this threat, he moved quickly, sending 2 more legions to the Belgian border. With these additions, Caesar found himself in command of 8 legions, totaling approximately 44,000 men, including auxiliaries. As the Belgae readied themselves for war, Caesar attempted to gain the approval of the Roman Senate to confront them, as he considered them a similar threat to that posed by the Helvetians and Suebi. The Roman Republic, however, was slowly losing influence over Caesar's actions, and many in Rome suspected that his achievements in Gaul served Caesar's personal interests rather than Roman ones. Caesar took swift action, marching into the Remi territory, a nearby Belgae tribe, where they surrendered and gave him information about the Belgae alliance. Caesar then convinced the Aedui to attack the Belgae lands, opening a second front while he led his legions against the main Belgae army. He crossed the river Axona and pitched a secure camp on a hill, providing rear protection due to the river and marshy terrain ahead, hampering a frontal attack. He also made sure to leave 6 cohorts in a fortified position on the other side of the bridge to cover his supply line. While he waited, the Belgae surrounded the town of Bibrax, belonging to the Remi, about 13 kilometers from their camp. The Remi asked Caesar for help, but he was unwilling to abandon his defensive position, suspicious of a possible trap. He instead sent groups of auxiliary infantry to infiltrate Bibrax and assist the Remi. Galba, the leader of the Belgae, attempted to surprise Caesar, but he held his defensive position. Galba dispatched a sizable force to cross the river and attack the Roman troops protecting the supply line, hoping to compel Caesar to relinquish his fortified position or leave him without supplies. But Caesar marshaled his light infantry and cavalry to engage the Belgae during the crossing, whilst his legions stood in defense. The Roman cavalry reached the crossing in time to block some of the Belgians, and the projectile-launching troops struck the Belgae in the water. This effective strategy frustrated Galba's plans and kept Caesar in his strong position. Following the Belgae failed attempt to cross the river and the setbacks in their campaign, Galba learned that the Aedui were attacking the lands of the Bellovaci. As the Romans surrounded them, Galba withdrew and the Belgae tribes dispersed, having agreed to regroup if the Romans continued to advance. Caesar subtly pursued the Belgae with his cavalry and 3 legions, inflicting significant casualties due to their lack of organization. Many tribes surrendered to the Roman legions, but some, led by the king of the Nervi, Bodunatus, organized themselves to resist Caesar. Bodunatus set up an ambush for Caesar on the banks of the river Sabis, constructing obstacles to prevent the Romans from crossing. Caesar split his army into 2 groups, with the veteran legions leading the way and the younger ones trailing behind. He dispatched his cavalry and light infantry across the shallow river to scout the opposite bank and face the ambush. The Romans were surprised by the Nervi cavalry, which resulted in a brief clash. The Belgae cavalry retreated, luring the Romans back, and then the Nervi attacked in full force. The Roman cavalry and light infantry ran back across the river to the Roman camp, with the Nervi in pursuit. This kicked off the Battle of the River Sabis, in which the Belgae crossed the river quickly, nearly catching the Romans unprepared. The Roman experience and discipline enabled them to quickly form a battle line, but the obstacles set up by the Bodunats in the camp hindered the orderly formation of the Roman legions. During the Battle of the River Sabis, the Roman legions engaged several Belgae tribes separately, with heavy fighting on 3 fronts. Although the Roman left wing managed to push the Atrebates back to the Belgae camp, and the center was pushing forward against the Viramandui, the Roman right wing was in difficulty, surrounded by the Nervi. Caesar took personal charge of the defense of the 12th Legion and kept the soldiers' morale high. Labienus, commander of the 10th and 9th Legions, sent the former to help on the Roman right, turning the tide of the battle in favor of the Romans. The Nervi, faced with Roman reinforcements, were surrounded and fought bravely, but were defeated. Belgae casualties were significant, with only around 500 surviving, whereas the Romans also suffered substantial losses, with up to 5,000 soldiers killed. Caesar once again stood victorious and the Nervi surrendered, cementing Rome's control over a large part of Gaul. Soon we'll be releasing new videos on Caesar's campaign in Gaul, and to make sure you don't miss them, don't forget to check that you're already subscribed to the channel. See you in the next video.